Okay, so this video is gonna be about Paladin comparison with Overwatch and this kind of thing. So yeah, let's just begin. The thing I think is very good with Overwatch is that first of this thing is the graphic, and the other thing is that it looks very nice with how the skins to each hero, and all of the heroes have a important backstory, explain why they are in the Overwatch realm and so on. This is the big thing I really like with Overwatch. Is especially at the characters, you can really feel like in some ways you belong in some way to the character when you play them, because they are very like they are action figures. Like you have them, you can even see them in comics. You can see them even as plastic dolls. It's so many things that they are put into, obviously, because Blizzard is a very big company. They make one of the biggest game is obviously World of Warcraft and Warcraft. And so this big, many people knows about Blizzard and all this kind of thing about their games and so on. They have lots of and over they try to do make good skin and this kind of thing. Okay, so the thing I do not like with Overwatch, I think, with any game, is that when you are restricted where you wear for kind of clothing in the game. For example, in Paladin, for example, if you example you say you want uh, Tiberius uh, leopard skin, but at the same time you want his Egyptian skin for his chakram, you can do that. So you can take two different skins from different patch and put them together to make one skin of these two different objects, and so on. So that reason why is the part where I like Paladin more in that part, because you can take different weapon skins and different skins and, to put them together and make a different loadout. For example, like Bomb King's um, honey skin. If you don't like that skin, you just take Bomb King's honey bombs instead, and maybe you have his snowball skin, like his Christmas skin, and put them together and so on. In Overwatch you cannot do that. You can only have the same weapon that belong to the same skin. You cannot take different skin. So for example, if you want Gin, and you want his skin when he have his Shamshir, but you don't want that skin because you don't think the Shamshir looks good on that skin, and you want Gin's skin on his Ming armor, or his samurai armor, and have his Shamshir there instead. You cannot use that mixture when you with the skins. That I think is the bad thing. And the other thing what I more prefer in Paladin is that for each game you can change your character in that character's gameplay. For example, you can use Tiberius' ability to throw one chakram, and that ability will make his chakram bounce 2 times on the wall, uh, and so on. And you can always change some of ability with the loadout system, and you can make it more effective with the card system in the same time. So you have more uh, abilities to make the character in Paladin different for each match. That is the one other thing I think is good with Paladin. The the bad thing is that if you're not good with the character you play in Paladin, you cannot change it in the game when you play. In Overwatch you can do it. For example, if you are a very bad player with uh, roll with the hamster, for example, the rolling hamster, you can change that character mid in the game when you play the game. In the match, you can change the character to change to somebody like Hanzo or some other character you are good with when you play. So that is a big point for Overwatch, because you don't have to make your team suffer in that sense. That if you're bad with a character, you can just change it, and then you have a character you're good with in the game. Um, and obviously there's a very big differences here in there's a big differences here with healers and healers in Paladin versus Overwatch, because in Paladin you can change your healers to be damage champions or attackers and same times healer, because you don't really have any need for healers in some sense in the game, because everybody can heal themselves if you just wait for some seconds behind a wall or you hide yourself for some seconds. You can just heal yourself automatically. You heal yourself. In Overwatch is a totally different story. In Overwatch, if you choose a healer, you have to heal your team, because it's much harder to heal yourself, heal the team to heal themselves, because you can find some part of in the map, some healing box, like with a red cross to find to heal, but it's not as simple as in Paladin that everybody can heal themselves very quickly. So there is really no need for a healer in that game, as there is much more need for a healer in Overwatch. So if you choose a healer, you have to be prepared to help people all the time in the game, and at the same time you have to be very good to protect yourself and heal. So you have two missions in the game, so that you are more independent. Everybody is more independent in Paladin than they are in Overwatch. In Overwatch, if you healer, you have to heal them. Then you have to heal them. And if you're not a good healer, everybody gonna be very angry. So it's very important to be good healer if you're gonna choose a healing hero in Overwatch. The other thing I think Paladin makes some sense better than Overwatch is that it's much easier to know who belong to your team in Paladin than in Overwatch. For example, when you start a match, not all of the game modes, but maybe some of the game modes, you're very split out. You don't really see over you what is your team and what is the enemy team. In Paladin, you start in the waiting room with like if you play deathmatch, everybody is around you before the match start, or you play capturing the load out, capturing the flag and so on. You always have your team. You always know before you start the game, because of the loading screen. You can see up on the screen is your team, under is the enemy team. So you see from the start what is your team, what is the enemy team, and that makes it very easy, much more easier to know where you are in the game. And the other thing that is very good with Paladin is that you have mounts that you can ride to the battlefield very quickly. And so that this kind of thing, I think, is why personally I more prefer Paladin over Overwatch, is because you have more ways to make the character you play different from each match. That is as I said before, is a very big thing, and you can change. You can have different skin from different weapon. That is other big thing, I think. And you have much more character in Paladin than you have in Overwatch. Obviously, some of them have similarities with some of the characters in Overwatch, but they also have differences if you play them. For example, because of the loadout system, you can change some of their abilities to make them very different from. For example, if you take Hanzo and you take the arrow guy in Paladin, they have the only thing that is similar with them is both of them have an ability that they shoot lots of arrows at the same time. But the other thing that makes them different is, for example, Hanzo have a ability that can change his arrow to be a scanning arrow. So, for example, he shoot that arrow on a wall, he can see where the enemies are with like the scanning thing on that attack on the wall with one of his arrow. He don't have the ability to be invisible that that arrow guy in Paladin have, and so on. And it also makes the different thing is that you can have a card and a loadout that make that character. Oh, totally forget the name of the character with the bow in Paladin, but the Desert Wind. If you change ability with his loadout, one of his attack gonna be explosive bows, explosive arrows that Hanzo do not have. So it's very important when we compare characters and do not look similar but have similar weapons, but with different upgrades. Obviously, the Paladin's bow is much older. Hanzo's bow is much more like a modern bow, and so on. But they have one's ability that is very similar, but they also have. Then you have to also think like this. First of all, you have to think how the first loadout of that character with a bow in Paladin is. Then you have, when you next match, you can change that have totally different effect on his abilities that makes him different from Hanzo, and so on. So this, for example, same with Makoa. Makoa have one ability that is similar to Roadhog, and that is his chain. And also how he loads his weapon looks a bit similar in the animation. But then you have his healing ability, his spinning, his energy shield that Roadhog do not have. So I think it's very unfair when we just say that Paladin is a copycat because we just see one ability. We don't look at every ability that Roadhog have and Makoa have side by side, because they have totally different super moves. They are not the same. And the only thing that is exactly the same is the chain attack when he uses chain. Then it's very similar in the animation. The other thing is not similar with Roadhog in comparison with Makoa, and so on. The same with the guy with the bow and Hanzo. So this is one of the thing I think, and you also have to understand that Paladin makes a very good game because it's also free. You have to understand, when you compare Paladin with Overwatch, you have to understand that you compare a game you have to pay for, that is Overwatch, and then you have a game that is free to play. Obviously, you can buy skins, but you can also buy skins with the currency you earn in the game, that free currency that you earn in the game. But you can also buy with real currency, buy skins and this kind of thing for your character. So in that sense, it's a bit also unfair, because the other one is a multi-company, so I can have comics, toys, maybe have so many things that can make them much bigger. And then you compare a much smaller company that is high-res compared with Blizzard. So, and even Blizzard high-res is some point close to Blizzard, even if Blizzard is much bigger company in high-res. You can obviously find a very good thing with Paladin, and you can find good thing with Overwatch, but it's also what you want to play. If you want to play a game that you can be more like a Dota game, that you can change the character, how they play for each match you play, and you have different card system, different loadouts, and so on. Obviously, Paladin is more game for you because you have more diversity with the character and so on. But if you want a game that is much more like easier in some sense, I don't say it's easier to play, but I mean it's easier to just pick a character and that is the character you play, or if you don't like it, you change that character to another character you play. Then Overwatch is a better game, because it's much more like in Overwatch is much like that. When you choose Hanzo is Hanzo. you don't gonna change Hanzo to be another other thing in the game. Okay, so you don't gonna change Hanzo. You only can change maybe how good you are with Hanzo. But Hanzo will always have the same super move, the same abilities. The only thing that can maybe change if you have a different skin that looks his attack will maybe have some special animation, but it's the same, still same thing. You don't can change it, and that is the I think the biggest difference with Paladin and Overwatch is that the character you choose in Overwatch is the character you will play with for the rest of the game. The character you choose in Paladin, you can change Tiberius for each match if you because you have you can use different loadout, different cards, and make him different for each match you play, and so on. So you can. I think that sense is Overwatch easier in that sense because it's quicker to just find a character you want to play and then you learn how to play because you don't have to learn his different variation of that character and this kind of thing, and so on. So if you want to have the time to try different variation with one character of his abilities, Paladin. If you just want to learn one variation of a character, Overwatch, and that is fine. It should be like that. It's two different games that have similarities but also have differences with each other, and this kind of thing. And I think everybody can play both game and be happy. We don't really need to say what is superior because if you obviously if you compare graphic, obviously Overwatch is superior in graphic, obviously. But graphic is not only the matter in game because if you can have super graphic and still be a boring game, and you can have bad graphic and be a fun game. So the most important thing in the game is if you have fun, if the animation works, the gameplay works, and this kind of thing. That is the most important thing in the game. And let's see, because I think you have to play the both games to understand them. Because if you just watch like a clip on YouTube or this kind of thing, you just see one comparison. You don't see the whole comparison with both different games, and so on. Yeah, so yeah, I think it's both of them is nice, but personally, my personal opinion, I think I more prefer Paladin over Overwatch because there's already what I say because of you can change the skin for weapons, you can have different costume to hit weapon, you can make the character different for each match. So for me, I think personally I like more that you have more diversity in Paladin for the characters than you have in Overwatch for the characters and this kind of thing and so on. This kind of thing. So, but Overwatch have more diversity because in that sense of their backstory for the character, absolutely, that they absolutely have more diversity for. That I can absolutely say, and so on. Yeah, and that's probably everything I really want to say in the comparison with Paladin and Overwatch. Hope you like it. Okay, bye.